Hi peaches, it's Shaaba. Welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. A happy, merry Crimble Bobs to all of those who celebrate. If you're watching this on the day the video has come out, then it's Boxing Day. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas with very little drama. I'm manifesting that for you. I know families can be a little bit tough. And for all of you who don't celebrate, I just hope you had a wonderful, normal, gorgeous, cozy winter day. We're swiftly approaching the end of the year, but we still have a couple more opportunities to dive deep into the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? Why? Because it's a little bit of fun. It's a little bit juicy drama. We can hopefully help a couple of people out whilst expanding our own mindsets along the way. I know it's not a Monday, but you know, if that was a little Christmas treat. Call me your Desi Santa. For now, let's go fishing for some a-holes. Whoop! Am I the drama for stepping out of the Christmas family trip because of their constant fits over gifts? Families and gifts. You know what, it's never a bad idea to remind people that Christmas and gift giving is supposed to be fun. There's a lot of politics involved. Sometimes the politics override the funness. I know I have experienced some major family fallouts because of gifts. It shouldn't be that way. You know, it should just be so chill. Let's see if we can help OP out here. This is the situation. As per nearly every year, we make a Christmas trip to meet with my extended family and celebrate it. OP is a 33-year-old man. He says, I'm not much of a gift giver and I actually don't mind not getting any gifts at all. Okay, fair enough. I can understand that. For some people, gift giving is so important. I don't know if you've heard of the love language test. For those of you who might not have, there's a social psychology phenomenon that says that we all have a combination of 5 main love languages. You can do this fun little quiz online to check out your love languages yourself. It's free, it doesn't take very long, and I think it's really insightful to know these things. Your love languages can be a combination of gifts, quality time, touch, acts of service, and words of affirmation. Those are the 5 things that we respond to, and some people respond significantly more to some and less to others than their partners. And it's really good to know, because if you're in a relationship, and whether that's like a romantic relationship with a partner or a family member, it might mean that having that information is like a little cheat code to making sure you can make your loved one be as happy as they can possibly be and communicate to others what makes you as happy as you could possibly be, right? So like my partner Jamie, for example, he loves gifts, words of affirmation, and acts of service in that order. So if he's feeling a little bit down, I know that he would super duper appreciate a little piece of Lego, a little bar of chocolate, a surprise from the shop, like whatever it might be, for me to tell him that I love him lots and he's got a glorious bottom. And also maybe I do the dishwasher and he's like, oh my god, thank you so much. But for me, gift giving is like my lowest form of love language. So it doesn't come naturally for me to be like, oh, I need to give you gifts to make you feel happy. And knowing that about him means that I can make an active decision to be like, okay, I'm gonna up my game. You know, I my gift giving game. That quantity could increase. So I feel like what's happening here is OP is either like, look, gift giving is not my love language, but my family seem to love it. Or something has happened in the past that's made gift giving just a freaking chore for OP. And he's like, no, I'm not about that life. Santa, in your box. Not today. Anyway, OP says, the problem at hand comes when my sister, who is a 40-year-old woman, and my mother, a 69-year-old woman, enter the scene. Stage left. Spotlight. I still get some gifts from them, but they always seem to make a fuss when I don't gift back. This is an issue that has been happening over the latest years. And yesterday, my sister and my mother, in addition to some other relatives, sat me down and gave me an ultimatum. I don't like ultimatums, but I'm also not fully understanding OP here, so let's see. They said either I show them that I care for them by gifting them all gifts when we make the trip, or they will tell the whole family to take drastic measures. Drastic measures! Since this isn't the first time that my family has thrown a fit because I don't give them gifts, and they haven't given me less gifts over the years, I just told them that if this is how they're going to do things, then I'm not going to make the trip with them. And then I left. Oh, this is really sad. Today, my phone has been blowing up with WhatsApp messages and missed calls. All of the messages so far go along the lines that I'm being selfish and greedy, and that I'm hurting them because I don't care for them at all. I haven't grabbed the phone at all as a result. For additional context, as OP, I live alone. My current job is well paid, and maybe I could afford them a couple of gifts, but the problem is that it's the same drama, the same guilt tripping, and this basically diffuses any desire from me to give out any gifts. So am I the drama for leaving the Christmas trip? This is so interesting. This is not the direction that I thought it was going to go down. I am in 2 minds. And do you know why? I think it's because we're missing a really important part of the conversation here. And that for me is, why are you not giving gifts? Has OP actually told us? Because OP's just gone like, I'm not much of a gift giver and I don't mind getting any. That to me, I hate to say it, but it sounds like a little bit lazy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't really care if you're going to give them to me. I don't want to go out my way to give it to you. For that bit at the end there, it's like, I don't have any support with it. I can pay for it. I have the money. It's not a financial thing. Yeah, I probably could. But like, that's the vibe that I'm getting. And for me, I don't know, that does feel like a bit of a problem. It does sound like maybe you're a bit of the drama. The other side to that is there something that we are not understanding, especially with the whole same drama, same guilt tripping? Is maybe OP not understanding why they are not wanting to give gifts? Does OP's family react negatively to the gifts? Is it always like an issue or a problem and they always complain that nobody spends enough or whatever? So you're like, you know what, I'm just not doing it. Because that entirely changes the situation. So I think my initial badge is needs more information, right? Like, for sure, we need to know that. But on face value, it kind of seems like there's not more to that. Because OP's told us about the conversation and the fact that they're feeling guilt tripped, I kind of feel like if that was to happen, that's not a detail that OP would have left out. And I guess in my mind, I'm just like, is it really that simple? You're really just not getting them gifts because you can't be bothered? Because you're not much of a gift giver and you don't care about receiving them, so why should you give them? Is that the vibe? If that is the vibe, I would have to say you are the drama, my love. And it goes back to exactly what I just explained about the love languages. Clearly to you, it's not that important, but to your family it is. And knowing that it is, why wouldn't you? If you don't have other obstacles in the way, like finances, in which case I could totally understand, but at the same time, you could still do homemade gifts. And gifts don't have to cost a lot of money either. It's a thought that they're wanting, right? They've specifically said here, show us that you care for us. Please show us that you care. And you're just like, I'll just leave then, which is kind of the total opposite. Having said that, you're an adult and you don't need to be anywhere that you don't want to be. So I don't know, part of me, there's just this gut feeling that this is so contentious, it can't just be because you don't want to. Something must have happened. You got to go sit on a little therapy couch and you need to dig deep and be like, yes, it was the winter of 1998 and this happened, and ever since I've just given up with giving gifts to my family. Because trust me, I understand that. There are certain family pockets that I'm like, oh, do we have to do this? Really? Because it's just not fun anymore. And if it doesn't feel right and if it feels fake, like, don't do it. But if you're not going to do it, explain why. Have that little internal reflection moment and realize it's because, oh, you know what? I don't appreciate how this family responds to gifts. I don't feel like I can do it right, therefore it makes me uncomfortable, and I've decided not to do it, and therefore I also don't expect gifts from you. If you're wanting me to show that I care and I don't want to do gifts, how about I show I care in a different way? Perhaps I can cook you all a meal. Perhaps I can organize a specific games night. You know, like, there are other things that you can do that aren't gifts, but that still reflect what they are saying they want, which is a feeling of caring. And that's okay too. I have one family member that doesn't do gifts at all because of religious reasons, and that's okay, you know, like, I don't see that as being disrespectful, but at the same time, there's an equality to it, right? Because you're not giving gifts, but you're also not getting gifts. Like, it's not like you're just taking and being like, well, thank you, but also I'm still not getting you anything. And there is context that is provided to be like, hey, I'm not doing it for this reason. Okay, I get it. But it sounds like they're in the lurch. They don't understand why. They're assuming it's because you don't care. And right now, OP, I'm struggling to see any other reason. I'm questioning whether this is not a you other drama, but actually, and everybody sucks here, specifically because of the ultimatum. It's fine to not do gifts, but like, to be like, hey, you either give me gifts or shit's gonna go down, babe. Shit is going down. Like, what is drastic measures? That sounds terrifying. I'm like, are you gonna fling me off the roof of the family house? Am I going to be the turkey? Like, what do you mean drastic measures? But I think we also need to be careful about the word ultimatum, and ultimatums are never a good thing. To clarify, there is no good world in which an ultimatum is provided. We shouldn't be making choices for other people. What you can do, and what I think people often confuse with ultimatums, is laying boundaries and being like, hey, this has upset me, and as a consequence of your actions, I'm setting these boundaries in place, which limits what I'm allowing you to do in my life. Like, I'm setting those boundaries that limits what you can do with me. That's fine. That is not an ultimatum. That's just a consequence. That's an impact to a feeling. And I'm gonna hazard a guess, because you were like, fine, I'll leave, that maybe the drastic measure was, look, if you're not going to participate in the way that the rest of the family are participating, then you're not going to be invited again. And on that front, you know what? I kind of get it. Because if you're not giving a reason, and if you're not doing something to show that they care, and they're being vulnerable to you and being like, hey, you not providing gifts makes us feel like you don't care about us, and you're just like, well, don't give me gifts then. Of course that's not going to feel great, right? You're very entitled to do it, but they're very entitled to not be happy about it and then not want your presents. Presents. Okay. I'm struggling with the two badges. I think ultimately I'm going to say you are the drama. It has to be that one, because I personally don't fully see this as an ultimatum, and I really cannot understand why you're not just doing gifts. It's a kind thing to do, and yes, it's a tradition, and yes, it's the norm, and sometimes we don't always have to do tradition traditions and the norms, but if we're not doing them, we got to give a decent reason why. You are the drama. This has been going on for some time. You go and visit, they give you gifts, you take them, but you never bother buying anything in exchange or in return. Your family's sick of giving and never receiving. If you've got no desire to exchange gifts, you should have spoken up and set your boundaries years ago. Instead, you've just continued taking and doing nothing else. That is a really fair point. If you don't want to give gifts, it's fine, but a long time ago, because this has been happening for a number of years, you should be saying, don't get me gifts because I don't want to give gifts. I think if you'd explained that beforehand, your family would definitely feel less unloved, because they're like, well, we're putting the effort in for you. Give us something in return, OP. You need to decide if you're a participant in the holiday gathering or not. You'll be the only one who's bothered if you decide to stay at home. Your family will stop wasting money on gifts, and you can stop feeling pressured to be an active participant in your family's celebrations. If you choose to keep on attending, then you have to reciprocate and buy gifts for those who gift to you. It doesn't have to break the bank. They'll probably just be thrilled to know that you gave a passing thought. I definitely think that this is a case, especially because they specifically pointed out in a way that you have heard and acknowledged that they feel like you don't care about them. You have to stop playing the games and either be part or step out. You can't have both, as they've let you know it is not welcome. Mic drop, job done. Oh, I'm from the US, where gift giving among adults has become stressful and expensive. Recently, my family voted and chose to adopt the Colombian tradition of gifting gifts to kids only. Wow, has Christmas improved? My Colombian friends who live in the States always say, why do you do this to yourselves? Now we enjoy decorating, music, food, visiting, and none of the stress, and I would highly recommend it. You know what? I get it. If overall gift giving is becoming stressful, if it's a financial pressure, if it's like a political pressure because people are like extrapolating what a gift should mean, I totally appreciate not wanting to do it anymore. I will give you an example. I'll leave this anonymous. Please don't try and look into who it was. I gave gifts to somebody, right? There were 3. There's like a main gift and then 2 little mini gifts. And one of the mini gifts that I gave was this little farm shop packet. You know, when you go to like the farm food markets, like little food shops in farms? Yeah, they're called farm shops, but they're in garden centers. What's that about? That is not the point of the story. That was a digression that we didn't need. My point is, I bought a really bougie, cute little packet of fried eggs. You know, the sweets, because I know this person loves fried eggs whenever we eat Haribos. It was a super cute little packet. It just had fried eggs in it, and on the like label, it was just like, you are excellent. And I just thought that was really sweet. So I give them the gifts, not thinking anything of it, except for how amazing is this incredible pun? Wow. Like, no sad thoughts, no political thoughts were playing in my mind. I received a text the week after Christmas from somebody else being like, wow, this person's really upset with you. Like, what are you doing? What are you trying to say? And I was like, what are you talking about? What have I done? And they were like, the fried eggs. Like, what are you trying to say? They've got egg on their face. And I was like, whoa, how can you eat this much into a bag of sweets? Like, they were literally their favorite sweets. I got them the sweets because they like the sweets, and it was a cute little pun. And now you're trying to make it seem like I've developed and plotted and masterminded this huge political campaign to defame? What is the word? What is the word I'm looking for? To do something you. Begins with a D, I'm sure. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to give gifts again. I'm just not going to do it because this is way too stressful, and I'm doing this to be fun, and you are making it into problems, and I'm not partaking in that. So I get it. And if this is what works for you, then do that. There are so many different like gift structures alternatives. There's Secret Santa-ing. There's, I didn't know this was like a Colombian tradition, but cool. Yeah, there's that for just the adults. One creator I know of, Alex Light, every Christmas sets like a really small budget, and they choose a letter of the alphabet, and the gifts aren't supposed to be anything big, but just, you know, like funny little trivial things that can only begin with that letter of the alphabet that they can gift each other. And I thought that was really sweet. It like takes the pressure and the politics of fried eggs out of it. Another one that I heard of recently is called the white elephant version of gift giving. There are so many different ways that you can do it, and I would strongly encourage that if you are feeling some kind of way about gift giving, just explain that. Just say, I'm being really vulnerable with you right now. I love you, and I don't want this thing that's supposed to be happy to cause resentment. I'm feeling like there's a lot of pressure, so maybe we can do gift giving this specific way, or put in some boundaries like this, like a budget. There's a certain family group that we have a budget with, and it works really, really well. And actually having those conversations, which I thought was going to be a scary thing, ended up with people being like, yeah, you know what, we do need to unlearn it, because this is a bit of a toxic mindset that we have, and we just don't need that, do we? Has it stuck? No. But did it make things better, even just for a little while? Yes. And is it a conversation that we can have again? Also yes. So communication, as always, is key. And OP, if you're not wanting gifts, explain why. Even the laziest ungrateful people can buy a box of chocolates. Otherwise, people think that you're doing this, and maybe this is what you're doing, in which case you can't have a cake and eat it. He hasn't given a gift in years. They know this. They still buy gifts, and that's their choice. You don't get to demand that somebody buys gifts. That's not how it works. You can't demand, oh, I bought you a gift, so you have to buy me one. Your choice is to give or not give, and if you don't want to give to someone who doesn't reciprocate, don't give. To be honest, the best Christmas gift anyone could give me is a release from obligatory gift shopping. I'd 100% gladly never receive a Christmas present ever again to be relieved from the stress and obligation of shopping for holiday presents. I'd rather just hang out with my family, do something fun together, and enjoy each other's company instead of worrying about about what to buy each other. I get this, and if this is how you're feeling, communicate it. I think if you are feeling this way, it's probably because your family has done something to make you feel like it's stressful. Believe it or not, for people who do feel this way, there are family structures where gift giving is really fun. I know, I was shocked too. That's the point, right? Just have fun. Just have fun. And whilst I do agree with the sentiment behind this, and you know, like, you don't give a gift in order to receive a gift, if you are giving gifts all the time and not getting it back, it's hard not to read into that. So I don't blame anybody for being like, babe, I get you gifts every year and you don't do it for me. Like, what's up? Do you not like me? Like, have the conversation. Communication is key. I sound like a stuck bloody record, but it's because it's just not making sense. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. You can give a gift because you want to and aren't doing it in order to receive something in return, and also be upset that you haven't received something in return. It's social norms. It's okay to question them. I think that there is like a general consensus here that you are the drama. That's enough of that one. I've spoken my tits off about gifts. Peaches, if you have any different ways of gift giving, please do let us know downstairs in the comments and we can all learn from them. Alrighty, floop, am I the drama for treating my daughter and son differently? My daughter is a 13-year-old girl, my stepson a 14-year-old boy, and they were arguing. He told her to shut up and she said it back. I yelled that she shouldn't speak like that to other people, and she asked why he didn't get yelled at, but she did. Yeah. Why, mom? Why? My response was that he's allowed to say stuff like that, but I didn't want her to. She got mad and doesn't want to talk to me. Let's read on before we make any judgments. I married my stepson's dad when my daughter was 4 and was with him before that as well. Whoa, hang on. Okay, your daughter and stepson. I missed that first time around. It didn't log in the old noggin. Okay, now I'm kind of understanding. Not really, but I'm seeing the context. Let's read on. I married my stepson's dad when my daughter was 4 and I was with him before that as well. Okay, so you've known him for a while. The thing is, son, still has his mum in his life going there every other week. He gets to listen to her. He never really listens to me in general and says things like, you're not my mum, you can't tell me what to do. So I've pretty much backed off of that. I know I don't really like my husband to tell my daughter what to do unless necessary, as my family has different ways of raising than his does, so I try to do the same. Interesting. Oh, right, yes, okay, because your daughter is not biologically your husband. So you're saying that you essentially have an agreement where you raise your daughter one way and he raises his son a different way. And I'm of course using the term his and yours, not to be disrespectful, but just to try and understand the post. Just because they're stepchildren doesn't mean they're not your children, of course. His son is allowed to curse minorly and such, but I don't agree with that, and I don't want my daughter to be a jerk. I don't say anything to him because his mum and dad can decide the rules for him, or else I'll get a call from his mum complaining to me about me saying that he can't do something. I don't want my daughter to feel as if it's unfair, but I just don't want her saying things like that, and I don't have any control over my stepson. So am I the drama for treating my daughter and son differently? I'm gonna say everybody sucks here. That's my verdict. Everybody except for your daughter. Yes, I do think the stepson sucks as well. Hear me out. I think stepson, 14-year-old bratty kid, you're not my mom. I get it. We all get it. We've seen it many times before. But the fact that he would take that, knowing that there is a difference in what he can do and what his sister can do, and use that to be mean to his sister, and then to go to his mum and be like, stepmom told me to do this and I'm unhappy, knowing that she would come back and then tell you off, essentially making it so that you can't discipline the child in your house. He knows what he's doing, babe. He knows what he's doing. He might not be able to put it into words, but he knows the control that he has, and that's a bit of a dick move. However, he's also a teenager, and the reality is, whilst you and dad, in this situation your husband, have different ways of parenting and kind of like different jurisdictions over the kids that you're choosing to manage, it's not working, babe. It's not working. It definitely doesn't work to have those different rules in place about things like communication when they are both under the same roof. I think this clearly shows that it's not working, and to your daughter it's just coming across as double standards, especially because she's a girl and he's a boy, and also because they are the same age, right? 13, 14, there's 1 year's difference between them. That's nothing. If you would say, well, Jimmy, the 16-year-old goes out with his friends until 9 p.m, but you, little Lucy, who is 4, cannot because you're tiny, that's fine to have a double standard. It makes sense. But to be like, because your parents allow things but my parents don't, when we're under the same roof having the same conversation, doesn't fly. If you have a blended family in this way, you have to make sure that when they're under the same roof, they are all sticking by the same rules. Imagine if it wasn't the word shut up and it was something else. Say his mum allows physical discipline, and so he feels like he can hit your kid, but you're like, no, child, I don't want to raise you to do that, and I have the ability to tell you what to do, but not the other one. Are you going to allow that to happen? No. The rules that are applying in the household for the kids in the household should be applied equally in the household. And if the son is taking the piss in that way, and you don't feel like you can say it right now, then you need to go and have a conversation with your husband and your husband's ex, or all of you together, if that is a dynamic that healthy conversations can happen in, and you need to explain, hey, look, this is a double standard that's happening. It's not okay. I don't think my kid should be doing this. And so when son is in this house, he also cannot do this. It's fine to have different rules in different houses. For example, in my house, I walk around naked. If I want to go to the toilet in the middle of the night, I will get out of bed and I will not put my clothes on and I will go to the toilet. Would I do that in somebody else's house? No, of course not. In my house, if I'm really enjoying something, may lick the plate like this. Would I do that in a restaurant? No. You have to respect the values of the roof that you are under. It's only fair. I can understand why your daughter's upset with you because you're not providing her with a reason and you're just saying to her, shut up. Which is funny because you're telling off saying shut up. But that's what you're doing to her. You're telling her don't do it, but she's seeing someone else do it and not getting anything bad. So it's kind of like what you're enforcing as well, because she's your daughter, is like, hey, it's okay for guys to treat you this way, which also doesn't feel right. So thus, everybody sucks except for your daughter. That is my verdict. You're just training the stepson to believe that he can do whatever he wants whilst those around him, especially girls, cannot. And that is the beginning of some serious entitlement. I agree. Whack that weed down. Don't allow that to grow. I almost get what you're saying, but it's still wrong. You're still the adult here and you have a responsibility. I totally agree. I don't think that you should be doing it without the approval and conversation, you know, like the joint understanding of how you're all moving forward with your husband. He should definitely be a part of that conversation. But in your house, it's fair to want your rules to be abided by everybody. I'm kind of curious though, because you were like, they parent differently anyway in many respects. Like, what are those other respects? Because if you're not on the same page in that way, like that could lead to some serious toxicity. This feels like it could only be the tip of a much bigger iceberg. You are the drama. There is no reason that you can't tell your husband and stepson that he can't talk like that in your house. He can do what his mum allows at her house, but when he's here, he follows your rules. Again, I agree, but I do think your husband needs to be on the same page as you. You have to co-parent properly. If your husband won't agree, you probably need some couples or families counselling to have a consistent set of rules at your place. Yes. This, mic drop. I've never done that in videos before, but we're doing it now. You are the drama. You are teaching your daughter that boys are allowed to treat her like that. You're purposefully being unfair rather than being a parent. You are the drama. She can defend herself from him when he talks to her disrespectfully, but you won't stand up for her because you don't want the headache. I don't think it's that you don't want the headache. It's clearly more than just that, but I definitely think this idea of like, oh, well, I'm not allowed to defend myself, but he can, is definitely what your daughter will be taking away from it. Your daughter isn't stupid. Explain to her what you told us. You can't discipline him because you're not allowed to, as you're not his parent. I mean, yes, explain that to your daughter, but I don't think that's gonna fly. Like, it will explain why in the moment you've done what you did, but ultimately I don't think this is the end result. I do think you need consistency in how you treat the kids. There shouldn't be a double standard in the home. That's what Opie needs to work on with the husband. The rules in her house should be the same for both children. Well, damn, you don't need me. This forum's doing a great job today. Interesting to me that no one else has said everybody sucks here. They've all gone, you are the drama. But you know what? I respect it. I respect both badges. I can see where it's coming from. I personally do think that the accountability can't all be on OP. And I do also understand that OP is trying to do this, like, not just to be dicky. I initially thought that it's going to be like, well, boys will be boys. They're allowed to say bad things. But, you know, us girls have to remain pretty and proper. But that's not what it was. There is a reasoning behind it. It's just not, it's not the greatest or healthiest reasoning. But it can be fixed. Best of luck to you, OP. All right. Flip. Am I the drama for refusing to label my wedding cake as vegan because a guest felt tricked? What is this madness? Tricked into eating a vegan cake? Whatever next. How dare you? I like my cake with lashings and lashings of beef stock gravy. Come on, guys. There's so much bigger things happening in the world. I'm totally assuming that I understand this post already, but let's read. Let's see. My husband, 32-year-old man, and I, a 30-year-old woman, had a vegan wedding because we are both vegan. Congratulations, my love. On your wedding, not on being vegan. We made it clear in advance that the food and cake would be plant-based, and nobody complained until the reception. The cake was gorgeous. 3 tiers decorated with edible flowers. Towards the end of the night, one of my husband's aunts, Linda, came to me looking visibly upset. I don't know why, but Linda just sounds like the perfect name for someone who's feeling tricked into eating a vegan cake. Do you know what I mean? She said it was disrespectful to have a vegan cake on display because it felt like I was pushing my lifestyle onto everyone. Interesting. I told her that the cake wasn't meant to make a statement. It was just the dessert that we chose for our wedding. 1 second. Linda, babe, so you ate a vegan meal at the reception. You didn't have a problem with starters, the main course, potentially the canapes. I'm assuming that's normally what you have at a wedding, but you did have a problem with the cake. You're like, no meat in my savory main? Fine, but no meat in my cake? What is wrong with you? Like, I'm just trying to understand logic. Opie continues, Linda insisted I either move the cake off of the main table or add a sign saying that it was vegan so people were not tricked into eating it. The double standards for the meal versus the cake is like what my mind is trying to comprehend. OP says, I refused because 1, it's my wedding. Yes, OP. Yes, OP. 2, it is a cake, not propaganda. Well, hang on. Cakes can absolutely be political, but I do agree it's not in this instance. And 3, no one else seemed to care. Linda ended up storming out. Oh my god, guest Zilla. And now my in-laws are saying that I should have compromised to avoid the drama. Nation, your in-laws are spineless little willies. I was considering editing it out, but you know what? They are. They're spineless little willies. How dare they? If someone's being so ridiculous as to walk out of a wedding because of a vegan wedding, just don't eat the cake, Linda. Just don't eat the cake. You said on the invite that everything was going to be plant-based. I get it if you were being duped into eating magic mushrooms, but you are not, sir. It is a cake that has a substitute for eggs, likely some form of fizzy soda, and a substitute for butter, which is going to be some form of margarine. One of the best cakes I have ever eaten in my life was a vegan cake. Oh my god, it was so good. It was a carrot cake that I dream about, and I need to remind Jamie that because I want that for my birthday. We went to a party in Brighton. Shout out to Olivia Bakes. I literally know this because I love the cake so much. I logged it in my brain to be like, I must place order. One day in my life when I'm back, I will place order. But honestly, if someone is being this dumb about a cake and just being like, well, I could just not eat it. If this is really how they're acting, friggin' leave, bro. Get out. And don't you be saying, family, that I should be doing things to placate idiocy. No. Yeah, spicy Shaaba's coming out because it's just dumb, okay? It's dumb. Cough, Linda. Imagine having this as someone on your wedding day. The audacity. No, Linda. Get in the bin. I think Linda's reaction was ridiculous, says OP, but my husband thinks that I could have just put up a sign to keep the peace. Yeah, you could have done. But why should you? When someone was being this goddamn stupid, I'm glad you didn't put up the sign. You are not the asshole. This is biggest not the asshole. Sorry, not the drama. No, the asshole. Linda is totally the asshole. The entitlement is second to none. If I wasn't so appalled, I may have even been impressed, but this is just ridiculous. Now, if it was the other way, right, and it was a non-vegan cake and you hadn't labelled it, that would be a difference. And you should absolutely be labelling as such. If a vegan then came up and was just like, hey, I have these dietary restrictions, I can't eat these things, X, Y, Z. But that right there is a big difference, right? I can't eat those things. You, as a non-vegan, who I assume eats everything, you can eat vegan food. There is no restrictions that people therefore need to tell you about. It's giving white people being like, oh, that's racist towards white community. It's too much. You can't argue with people like this that have no brain cells. I'm glad she left the wedding because that means that she's not bothered you with more bullshit like this, and I hope you had a wonderful rest of your evening, and I hope you ate a lot of cake and that it was bloody good and that you really freaking enjoyed it. Of course, you as a vegan couple are not going to serve non-vegan food at your wedding. In the same way, I wouldn't be upset at all if a sober couple didn't serve alcohol at a wedding, or a Muslim couple didn't serve pork at a wedding. Grow the f*** up, Linda. Grow the f*** up. Not the drama, the whole thing was vegan. It was your wedding, your choice. I wouldn't feel tricked by eating a vegan cake at all. She's got issues. Let her see them and be upset. You don't owe her a thing. Seriously though, moldy brownie badge for your in-laws, and also I would say for your husband, because this is not the kind of spinelessness that you want or need. It's your wedding day. This is something you wanted to do. Someone else should not be dictating how you want things to be when what you are doing is perfectly reasonable in the first place. No, we're not pushovers to unreasonable requests like that. Putting up a sign would have rewarded her very bad entitled behaviour, and you had no reason to do it. Yes, I agree. Not the drama, your wedding, your choice. If you're both vegan, it's perfectly logical to assume that you'll be serving vegan food at your wedding. Again, Linda didn't seem to have an issue with the vegan main food, but it's the cake that took the cake. Dumb, dummy, dumb. Oh, coming for the final one. And flip! Am I the drama for hurting my mum by buying my brother and all of his family Christmas presents? So we're ending on a Christmas gift one by Family Woes, a fellow Peach. Thank you, Family Woes, for submitting to us, and other Peaches watching this video. If you would like to help Family Woes out, please do so. This isn't on the forum, so they don't have any other advice. They're coming to us, so let's see what we can do for them. Family Woes says, I'm a 33-year-old woman and I have chronic pain, and so I live with my mum, a 6-year-old woman, and her partner, a 69-year-old man. The issue is that my brother, a 34-year-old man, has gone no contact with my mum for nearly a year now. He's still in semi-regular contact with me though, and I still see him, my sister-in-law, who's 41, my nephew, who is 16, and my niece, who is 1, oh cute, when I visit my dad's, who's a 63-year-old man. I see, so you live with your mum and kind of like your stepdad. I get it. Mum, dad split up. Mum's got a new partner, you live there. Dad has your sibling, the brother, he's got a family. Your son goes to see the dad, but doesn't go to see the mum, but you live with the mum, but you still see the brother and family. Got it, thank you. I understand why my brother has gone no contact with my mum, mostly given her treatment towards his wife and her son. Ooh, interesting. She only sees my niece as her grandchild, and my sister-in-law's son isn't blood related or adopted by my brother. Oh, interesting. Okay, so your nephew is not biologically related, so she doesn't view him as her son. Ooh, or grandson. Ooh. but my mum doesn't understand why. And I don't feel like I can tell her the reason behind it due to my living situation. Ooh, that's tricky. I can also understand my mum's side of things for some comments that she's made in regards to their financial situation when they've asked her for money, but she wouldn't give them any. This is sounding very complex, but also very common to what many families experience. So I'm sorry, family woes, that you're going through this, but please do not feel like you are alone. Not that it like helps, but also kind of helps. Yeah. OP says, my mum and I do strongly believe in living within your means and saving up for things, but my brother is more about immediate gratification for purchases and not budgeting. For Christmas, I bought multiple small presents for my brother and sister-in-law and a present each for my nephew and niece. When I told my mum what I got them, she told me that I was silly for spending money on them, especially considering that last year they forgot my birthday and didn't reciprocate with Christmas presents. This is so interesting because it feels like such a parallel to the first one that we did today. I then later overheard her talking to her partner that she felt hurt that I would buy them presents because of how much the no contact is hurting her. I don't want to hurt my mum, but at the same time, I do want to still have a relationship with my brother and his family. I feel a little stuck in trying to be neutral to both sides, and I need an outside perspective on if I'm to blame for my mum hurting because I bought my brother and his family Christmas presents. Thus, am I the drama for hurting my mum by buying my brother and his family Christmas presents? Peaches, get your fuzzy juicy butts downstairs in the comment section. Let's help out family woes. Firstly, family woes, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I hope this didn't cause any bigger dramas that impacted the vibes and the feels. Right off the bat, I can tell you right now, you're not the drama. That is my verdict. You are not the drama. But as we've learned in some of the Am I the Drama posts, the advice is sometimes significantly more important than the badge, and I definitely feel like this is one of them. I think there's so much to unpack here. Okay, let's start with the no contact. I think it's fair that you can see it from both sides. This is what I'm getting from your post, so I apologize if I've misunderstood something. It feels like, in terms of the no contact thing, you're on your brother's side and not your mum's side. Not that there are sides to be taken, but there are points of morality and there are things that you can agree with and disagree with without having to feel like some sense of family camp loyalty, right? So in that sense, you agree with your brother's reasoning for going no contact because you agree that your mum is not treating your brother's side of the family very nicely because she seems to believe that biology is more important in family settings than the rest of you do, in a way that seems disrespectful. That's what I'm understanding. If that's the case, I totally agree with you. I understand. And I think it's kind of shitty that you are feeling like you can't voice your opinion to your mum in fear of that threatening the way you live. That does not feel right. And that doesn't feel like a very healthy family dynamic. If someone's acting a certain way and they're acting wrong and we can't feel like we can call them out on that in fear of them punishing us, they're not allowing you the opportunity to love them properly. Because loving people is not always telling them what they want to hear, but telling them sometimes what they need to hear in order to be a better version of themselves. And it sounds like you're concerned that if you are truthful with your mum in saying that, she could kick you out. And that is not something that a mum should do. If you're like, oh, it's because I live there and it's going to be awkward and then who knows if I'm going to be able to live there anymore because of my chronic pain and this is my family setup, I get it. But it's unfair to put that burden on you. It's so unfair. And that is down to your mum not providing a safe enough environment for you to feel like you can be honest with her. Is definitely a red flag. You should be able to say how you feel. You should be able to call people out and say, hey, you need to do better without worrying that they're then going to pull a roof over your head. That's my first point. I really hope that you can get to a situation where you can approach conversation and a level of vulnerability where you can be like, hey, I'm not feeling very safe to share with you how I feel because I'm worried that the security of my living situation is going to be removed. And then maybe your mum can be like, hey, look, I would never do that to you. Like, whether it's a misunderstanding coming from your part or whether maybe she's done things in the past to make you feel that way. I definitely think like having that conversation is important so that you can have an environment or build up to an environment, because it'll take time, right? Where you can feel like you can be honest. And then hopefully your mum will provide you with an environment where you feel safe enough to speak your truth. And your truth is, mum, you shouldn't be treating brother in this way and his family in this way. It's not fair. It's not right. It's 2024. These are very outdated views that do not encompass how families are, and we need to do better and you need to do better. And perhaps this is a very idealistic way of thinking, but there is absolutely a chance that in doing that, your mum might be able to come around and better understand it, and then hopefully maybe even repair that bond, that bridge that seems to have been broken with your brother and his family. Having said that, just because she's wrong about that doesn't mean she's wrong about everything. And I totally hear you, Peach, and your mum in the finance things. It doesn't sound like your brother's very good at budgeting. It definitely sounds hurtful, right? That they forgot your birthday and didn't reciprocate Christmas presents. That sucks. We just had this conversation about that very first post. I'm so sorry that that's happening. And I guess why I'm saying this is I'm really wanting you, family woes, to have like an internal thought about if you want to give your brother gifts. And sometimes we might not be entirely happy with the way that people deal with everything, but you want to keep the rest of the family sort of like there and present and in your life. And so to do that, you do things like gift giving. But that again doesn't mean that you can't be honest and being like, hey, bro, what's up? You forgot my birthday and Christmas gifts, and now I'm giving you Christmas gifts, and I just want to let you know that that hurt. So, you know, do better next time. Remember, pop it in the calendar. I get it. People have busy lives, but that didn't feel good. Hopefully, if this is how you're feeling, that is a conversation that you can have. If you don't mind and you don't care about the getting gifts back, but you still really, really want to give, especially to your niece and nephew, which I can totally understand, then maybe that's a conversation that you don't need to have, because you don't need to like open a can of worms. Also fine. But I do think it's unfair on mum to put that no contactness on you. And in that sense, I do think that this conversation becomes way bigger than just gifts. I think mum will probably be feeling some kind of way that not only you're getting gifts, but are also continuing a relationship with someone who she feels is hurting her. And the thing is, in those situations, normally 99% of the time I'd be like, I can get why people are hurt, because most of the time it doesn't make sense. I've seen this so many times in my personal life, first-hand, second-hand, on a tertiary level. It's so common, unfortunately, that somebody treats one person one way and another person another way. And with this triad of relationships, the person who's been badly treated doesn't understand how the sibling, often, who hasn't been treated badly, can still love this person or show affection to this person, knowing how much they've hurt them. It is perfectly understandable and I think predictable. Like, it'd be weird if you didn't feel some kind of way to that person, because you're like, well, if you're supposed to love me, do you not care that I was hurt by that person? It's really complex. It's really difficult to navigate. And the first thing that comes to my mind, which I definitely think would need to be said to mum in this situation, is stay in your lane. Just because you're not having a relationship with someone doesn't mean that other people cannot. Like, we don't do family camps, right? A relationship is a very personal thing. Often a relationship with one, like your brother in this situation, isn't just about your brother. It's also about your niece and your nephew and your dad and your sister-in-law. Like, there's a whole wider network there that is also impacted. And most importantly, it's not up for anybody to decide what somebody else does. Ultimately, that is your decision if you want to continue having a relationship. I can still see why she's hurt though. And I think in this instance, the reason being is because there's that missing truth where she thinks that she's right and you know that she's not right, but you're not telling her. And that's why it's not making sense in her head. If I'm being really honest with you, Peach, I feel like if you were in agreement with your mum as to the issues with the brother and the brother cut mum off, you would also be not speaking with your brother because you wouldn't appreciate them doing that. But the reason that you haven't done that is because secretly you agree with your brother. And I don't think you're wrong for doing that. I think from what you have explained, and if I've understood it correctly, it's the right thing to do. Your mum hasn't been fantastic. And so all of that would be fixed if you are able to be like, mum, let's fix this. You were wrong. Now I want to caveat all of this. So absolutely you are not the drama. But beyond that, I hope you can take steps to feel like you have family security and living security that isn't reliant on you not being truthful with how you feel, because that's going to affect everybody's well-being in a really negative way. And nobody deserves to be in that position. And two, I hope you're giving the gifts for the right reasons and that you too are happy to be giving these gifts. And maybe you are, and that's absolutely wonderful if you are. I'm not trying to say that you should or shouldn't feel some certain way or should or shouldn't get your brother gifts, but definitely do bring up if you're feeling hurt that you didn't get gifts back in return. And three, it really sucks for feeling like this outsider that's trying to be neutral on both sides, and it especially sucks because you're not neutral on both sides. Your brother's done something wrong to do with finances, your mum's done something wrong to do with family perception, and you should not be in the middle of that between them. And it would absolutely be unfair of your mum to put that on you. I will, however, point out that I don't think she has put it on you at this point. You've mentioned here that you overheard her talking to her partner. Your mum hasn't brought that to you, and your mum is very valid to feel hurt. Every feeling is valid, and I can understand why she would feel hurt, but she's not come to you and been like, hey, I can't believe you're giving gifts to your brother. If she'd done that, she'd be wrong. But the conversation that she did have wasn't her being wrong. That was just her expressing her feelings to one of her loved ones, and that is a totally okay thing to do. And it's also okay for you to feel that hurt, but you shouldn't take accountability for that, because that's not on you. And I know it's much easier said than done, babe. That would be my advice. Whew, I feel like that was long. I'm sorry if that sounded complex. I'm really hoping it made sense and came out in the way that I intended to. Peaches, if you would like to help out family woes as well, please do feel free to. Best of luck, sweet. Just keep doing what you think is the next right thing. Whew. All right, Peaches, if you enjoyed today's episode, maybe you want to consider giving this video a thumbs up, subscribing if you would like to see more. It super duper helps me out. I hope you enjoy the rest of this weird lingo Christmas period. I love it. Nobody knows what day it is. You're just living off the leftovers. You're watching movies and reading books and playing music. I'll catch you next time with another video. Be kind and have a great day. Bye.